All right, you guys, welcome back to Ever Be. Today we are spilling the tea because I have two of our closest guy friends as our guests today. We have Brock and Anders, and we are going to get real about what single Catholic guys are actually looking for. So it's going to be juicy, it's going to be good. And ladies, you're going to want to turn the volume up, sit down, take notes, and listen up. Hey, I'm your host, Mari Wagner, and you're listening to the Ever Be podcast, where faith meets lifestyle. I'm so excited you're here. Whether you're a new listener or a longtime follower, I know there's something here for you. Pull up a chair and listen in for insightful, real life conversations and actionable steps on how to claim the full life God created you for. If you're a woman desiring to live a Christ centered life in today's modern world, then this is for you. Welcome to Ever Be. So I'll let them introduce themselves first so you get to know a little bit about who they are, maybe how we met. So Anders, why don't you go first?
Sweet. I was hoping Brock would go first, but my name's Anders. I met Mari when we were working with Focus. I've known Mari. She was just a little first year. I'm a year older than her. So before she was doing all this stuff. And yeah, I'm from South Dakota and I've been a missionary for 5 years. So, and I'm living in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I met Brock when he was a young pup. He was in my Bible study. So we go way back.
Aw.
That's right. I think I was Anders' first disciple back in the day, I believe. Right?
One of them.
One of them.
You never forget your first.
Your first love.
First love. Wow, Anders. It's amazing.
Brock, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently live in Lincoln, Nebraska as well. Working in Omaha, doing some software sales. I know Trey, Mari, Anders, really all through the Focus community. So Newman Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. Stayed in touch since then. I've created a really good friendship. But yeah, just really in my faith. And looking forward to a good conversation. This will be good.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Let's just jump right in and let's start with kind of like the overview. If you just want to share what your experience in dating has been like so far. If you want to like share your age or like kind of, what the experience has been maybe through the years and where you're at right now, just so we kind of get a picture of like, where are you at in dating?
Absolutely. I'll go first, Anders. You go first last time. So personally, been in 3 serious relationships in my life. Most recently was about a year and a half ago. And since then, it's been a little bit more of the casual dating scene, right? So I'm 26 and it almost feels a little bit more like a job interview process a little bit, right? So seeing a little bit of both sides, right? So seeing the committed relationship and then also seeing just a little bit of that casual dating side of things too.
So you're going on a lot of first dates right now. It's kind of where you're at.
Sort of. Sure.
Yeah.
Some first dates. Yeah, and I'm 28. Post conversion, I mean, very, very different dating experiences pre and post, but
Sure.
yeah, post like conversion to Jesus. Similar, I've been in 2, I guess, serious dating relationships. Last one was same timeline, Brock, kind of a year and a half ago. So, but gone on more dates than that, like with other girls too. And I mean, it's been a good experience. I've learned a lot through it, and I'm really grateful for both of those relationships. And then I got promoted, so with my new role this last like 5 months, I've just been kind of getting my feet under me with that. So I haven't really been dating, but now just coming onto the scene. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's been a huge gift too. So Anders and I, like it's fun, like just our friendship. Like we've got to do a lot of stuff together, right? We got to talk about it together, kind of go through similar life stages together. It's been awesome too. So
Yeah, that is fun to just like have a buddy that's like in it with you that you can like relate to and talk about this experience.
Mm.
So as a Catholic man, how do you approach dating, and do you feel like it's any different than just like a regular secular man?
It's for sure different probably than a normal, Yeah, just guy in the culture, whatever. I've approached it differently. I feel like I've just gone on dates with girls that I didn't really know. Um, that was even how my last relationship was. Like I didn't really know her before the relationship, and a lot of that one was long distance. And now gone on some dates since then, and yeah, I think definitely looking for I mean, faith has got to be a part of it for me. Just that's a huge part of my life. Jesus is a huge part of my life. So, and being Catholic is, I converted in college. So most of my family's not Catholic. So yeah, just also ideally, meeting an awesome Catholic girl. But yeah, faith is definitely a part of it. And then, yeah, right now, I guess I'm just kind of like seeing who the Lord brings into my life that I like to be around. Because I know friendship is like so important in dating. And I have a lot of married friends and older guys and like mentors, and they just talk about that, how like the friendship part is so important. I think I just kind of looking for like, yeah, is number one, like faithful, and then um just like that natural friendship.
Yeah, totally. Anything to
Yeah,
add?
I would ditto. I love the friendship aspect, right? Like the difference now, being upper 20s, sometimes it gets a little tougher, right? Like I mentioned, sometimes it feels like a job interview a little bit. And you don't always get the benefit of that natural interaction, that organic interaction that maybe you get in high school, college, or where you're just doing a lot of different things, right? So you have to get a little more creative in how that process looks, right? For me, I think a lot of this comes in waves.
Mm,
My personality is just always be open to adventure, right? Like always just say yes, like at least give it one shot. So if someone is willing to set me up on a date, typically I'm going to say, yeah, why not? Like you got to shoot the score, right? You got to try something out to see if it's going to be something. So that's always my mentality is like, you got to put yourself out there, try something out. And at a minimum, even if it ends up being bad per se, right? It's like, at least I got the experience of getting to know somebody, getting to know someone's story, right? Getting
mm,
to show them a good Catholic dating experience. Hopefully, like, I don't know, maybe some people don't get experience that at all. Yeah. And then also just like maybe I'm the only person that has, allowed them to encounter Jesus or, the face of Jesus, or, just sit across from me, get coffee and say, I feel seen. You ask me some questions. I held the door open for you, like something as small as that. Maybe probe them a little bit more and just get some good questions to encourage them to, I don't know, maybe see life a little bit differently. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways about it, right? That's not obviously my approach to dating, but at a minimum, you at least get to go on a fun date and get to know someone's story. I think is really cool.
oh, I love that. I think too, you guys would probably both agree with this. And if you have any more to say and expand on this, I think at the core of it all, like you're approaching dating with the end goal in mind of trying to find a wife. Like at this point in your life, like you're not dating just for fun or just to like get to know different types of girls and have that be the end of it. But I feel like both of you, and again, yeah, sure, whatever else comes to mind, but like you're trying to find a wife, you're trying to be married right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if I'd rather not, waste somebody else's time too, if I don't think that it would be a good fit. So definitely looking for that for sure.
Definitely for sure looking for a wife.
Definitely for sure. Very open.
So in this quest to find a wife,
Quest.
what what are the traits and qualities that you feel like are that you find most attractive in a woman? And then if some come to mind as well, what are the biggest turnoffs or red flags? So a little bit of both. Give us like the green flags and the red flags that you're looking for.
Good question, Mariana. All right.
Trap
Um,
question. Well, you can answer wrong on this, Anders. Just FYI.
yeah. I mean, the first thing that I've just learned is everybody's story is different. I've known a lot of friends, and I had a lot of friends get married. I've been in a lot of weddings, as Mari knows. It's kind of like 20,
Yeah,
I haven't seen the movie with 27 dresses or
that is
yeah.
Anders.
So I'm doing
Anders
a lot,
is the girl with 27
which is
dresses.
I mean, it's a huge blessing to just like walk with men and be in their lives and be invited into that. Um, so yeah, I think like every guy looks for is different things and is attracted to different things. First of all, I think for me, I think just like being confident in herself and who she is big. That's like really attractive to me, and ultimately that confidence like comes from the Lord and knowing who she is in the Lord and just like the freedom to be herself. That's really attractive to me. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and then like yeah, just kind of that friendship. Like for me, it's a sense of humor. Like I like to joke around, so just somebody that I can laugh with and at least laughs at my jokes, hopefully, because otherwise it'd be really awkward. Because I like to joke around a lot. So I think yeah, just having a good sense of humor and um, obviously like taking life seriously, but not too seriously because I think you have to like be able to laugh at yourself and laugh at life. Um, and yeah, I think like a woman who like I don't know has a mission in life almost. I think that's like really attractive to me because I know
Tell me more about that. Expand. Like, what do you mean by that?
um I don't know. For me, it's like I want to be married and have a family and raise children and raise saints hopefully. And I just know like this life is short and heaven is long. And like I just want to
Mm.
be there and help. I mean, that's why I'm a missionary. I just want to help people know Jesus. So definitely like having that heart for others, I think is big for me. And just like
Yeah.
outside of me, I mean, just going into kind of like I don't know if you call it red flags, but I think, you know, if it's all just about like the relationship and about me, that's where I'm kind of like, okay, there's got to be like more than this. Like, how are we also faced outwards, and like, what do we want to do together? I guess that's attractive to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Like finding someone who is going to want to um just like serve the kingdom with you and like use your marriage to serve people around you, like in your community.
Yes.
I think that's awesome. Two of the things that you said. So Trey and I did a podcast last week where we asked Trey most awkward questions girls want to ask guys. And one of them, it wasn't an awkward question, but one of them was basically like, what are qualities that men find attractive in women? And the first thing he also said was confidence. And so I think that like at this point, we're hearing it from different men, different times, like confidence is so key. And I think one thing that you said there is just like a woman who feels free to just like be herself. And I think women so often, especially in dating, you get nervous because you just want to like be what the guy wants you to be, right? You want the guy to like you. And so
Mhm.
sometimes like you can kind of like change your character a little bit or like kind of overthink like what am I wearing? What am I saying? How am I like presenting myself? Like will he like that? Will he not? When really if we just like honed in like in who you are, if you were just confident about like who you really are and like you said like who you are in Christ and like your personality that God gave you and the things that you love and that you're passionate about, if you were to like exude that, like that actually would be the most attractive quality versus like trying to mold yourself to what different guys might want.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that's funny. Trey Dog, come on, Trey Dalla. Yeah, that's
Anders, this reminds me a little bit of Anders and I used to talk about this. It's like, dang, the time that maybe I got this little like mini crush on a girl or the girl that I actually like. For whatever reason, I'm always just stiff around her. Like I don't feel like I can be myself, or I'm like end up being kind of awkward a little bit
Yeah,
compared to maybe there's a girl that you don't feel that way about necessarily. You're just yourself. You're just bouncing off the walls a little bit, and that girl ends up liking you because you're just being yourself. You're just being childlike, right? It's like, man, what if we just decide to be ourselves? It'd be a lot more attractive.
totally. What about for you, Brock? What are some traits or qualities that you feel like comes to mind that you're really looking for?
Yeah, I love what Anders talked about. So for me, something along the lines of, childlike, adventurous, romantic, like sees the beauty in things, right? I love what you said, Anders, about, wants to go on a mission, right? So wants to bring people in, wants to invite Jesus into people's lives, wants to go do something, right? Whether that's, as simple as like within your parish, right? Like being involved in those things, or just like, let's go do something. Let's go live life beautifully and adventurous, things along those lines. So I kind of thought about this too, but someone that I'm also just like proud to introduce to my friends and family, right? Like
Yeah.
someone I'm just proud to be around a little bit.
I love that. Yeah. Any turn-offs or red flags that you've noticed?
Brock, what do you got, brother?
Dangerous. Okay, this one's good. I think you could talk about a lot of things here, like really micro things, but I don't know if that speaks for the guy population as a whole. But I think this one is that all guys would agree with probably is friendships, right? So if you have friends that are maybe just like bad influences or people that maybe I wouldn't get along with myself, I think
Yeah.
that's about you as a person is kind of who your friendships or what friendships you have, I suppose.
Yeah. I feel like that's super wise. And honestly, I feel like people don't talk about that enough in dating, of like actually being aware of the people they're surrounded by the most, and yeah, what kind of crowds they hang out with. That's important.
Mhm. Yeah. um, Again, yeah, I just don't want to speak like Brock and I mean, I'm more extroverted and Brock's more extroverted. So see, I don't know. I just know that there's like, I've just seen it where, I don't know, this isn't like, this is kind of back to the previous question, but I think if you're just really being yourself and who God created you to be, and it takes faith, but like there's going to be, like, you'll have that person for you.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it's probably just like, I guess negativity, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it's just like, am I like uplifted when I'm around her? Because
Yeah.
yeah, um, life can be hard. So I think just like somebody that can be with you, and like for me at least, just like I feel like lifts me up, and yeah, is able to like affirm you too in your masculinity, and just like
Mhm.
you in the things that you're doing well. I think is like big for men, just to be also like built up. I think we respond well to that. So I think, yeah, just like the watch out for me is just like the kind of negativity. That's one thing that comes to mind.
Yeah. No, that's super good. What would you say is maybe like your one, or if you have two, like top non-negotiables? I talk about this with women a lot because people ask me in my DMs, like, okay, this was a non-negotiable for me, but he checks every box except for this one. Like, should I still date him? And I usually try to encourage, like, if this is your non-negotiable, like, then it's non-negotiable. You know, if
Mm.
they're not checking this box, then it's probably not who you want to be with. Do you have a non-negotiable? And if so, what is it?
What are some examples from the girls?
Top one that I feel like is most common is just that they're Catholic. Most Catholic women that I talk to want to marry a Catholic man, but a lot of them either meet someone who's not very practicing, but maybe they were baptized Catholic, and so they're kind of like, how much like leeway should I give,
Mm.
you know? Or maybe they fell in love with somebody who's Protestant and not Catholic, and they're like, well, Catholic was my non-negotiable. Like, do I continue to pursue this relationship or not? So that's obviously the most popular one that I feel like I hear.
Makes
I think for me, I think we're talking truly non-negotiables. I would say Catholic, right? I think there are other things that are definitely wants and desires, but I think truly at the end of the day, the one is probably going to be Catholic. For me, I have things that are like pretty close to being non-negotiable that I like. I really want it'd be really hard for me to not work out in the relationship. I'm sure you're wanting me to answer based on that too, but I think the true one non-negotiable is probably Catholic in the faith for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it would just be kind of lonely. Like, even, I mean, I grew up Protestant, and I'm super grateful for that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a huge blessing in my life. But I think like not being able to share in Eucharist and sacraments and Mary and all these things, that would be really hard.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's also a question of like dating. Like, I think I'd be cautious. Like, if she's not Catholic, I think I would just have to see if like there's openness to that,
Yeah.
you know? So I think, but that, I don't know, that can get tough. So that's definitely, I think, one of the non-negotiables. Yeah, definitely for me. Brock, do you have any others?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you thinking of, Brock?
yeah, I think there's 100% non-negotiable, which is Catholic, right? And I think there are like some 80 to 90%
Okay.
non-negotiable that I'm
All
going to
right.
talk. that is here too. For me, I really enjoy just being challenged, right? So I really enjoy people that are maybe like not necessarily naive to certain things, right? So whether that is in a sports activity or a board game, whatever else it is, just a little bit of fire, a little bit of competitiveness.
Hmm.
Someone seems to get it a little bit, like kind of not afraid to punch back, right? Like again, we
Sure.
talked about being authentically yourself a little bit. So something along those lines, kind of a little analytical, little gamey, a little bit. Um, I don't know.
Someone that can give you some good competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that speaks. I want to try to speak on behalf of a lot of men in the world, and I think that's a fair thing to represent a lot of men. Not all men are like that, but I think that represents a lot of men. I think.
Yeah. And two, I mean, we all know, like, you are just two men. You can't speak on behalf of all men everywhere. And I mean, our listeners know that, but we will give the disclaimer, right? This is like what Anders and Brock are looking for. And they are great Catholic men, but they can't speak for everybody. So it's okay if you have something that you're like, yeah, this is just like what I want. We know that you necessarily will not be speaking on every Catholic man out there.
Certainly.
Okay, that's good. That gives me more freedom. I got like 10 things here.
There's this like, oh, now I'm gonna give you my list.
No, but I don't know. For me, it's just like growth mindset. Like, is she willing to grow?
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Just like obviously there's things that are the way that we are, and like God made us that way, and it's just like reverencing those. But I think for me, it's like, is she willing to grow and like get outside her comfort zone? Whatever it
Hmm.
is. And like, I want to get outside my comfort zone. I think life is boring when you're just like in your comfort zone all the time. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think that would be one of mine. Is just like, and obviously you don't like get that through a question, but just through, I think, dating, just be like, is she willing to get out of her comfort zone and like grow in different ways and like try new things?
Yeah. Yeah. Maynard. Yeah. I tackle on that a little bit too. It's like, experiences with dating a little bit, the first few weeks, months, sometimes you go through this little honeymoon phase. It's very fun, all these things. But I think as we've gotten older, you see past that a little bit more, right? Like, okay, this is going to be hopefully founded upon friendship, right? We talked about friendship a little bit already. And what's it actually going to look like you're going to be married hopefully for 50 years. Like, what is that going to look like? Can I actually have a friendship where we're both pursuing heaven, we're both pursuing Jesus, and bringing people into that together, right? Like, that's the ultimate goal. And
Mhm.
it looks a lot of different ways, but that's the ultimate goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, and does she have good girlfriends? I think that's like, if she doesn't, it's just gonna be tough because I've been around. I've had 5 women teammates on my team here, my missionary team. So I've been for like 5 years. I've been around a lot of girls, but I'm like, there's just some things I can't provide. That like, you just need a
Yeah.
good girlfriend to do. So, and I think it just shows too. I don't know. That's just something for me. Like, does she have good like girlfriends that she can hang out with?
Yeah. What about like if she wants to be a mom or not? Is that a non-negotiable for you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
That's good.
for me.
Really good.
Not speaking for all men, but I think that's definitely
You have that desire.
and
Yeah.
and to have like 12 kids.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
She's gotta want
No, I'm
12.
kidding. Whatever the Lord wants, and
Yes.
but yeah, definitely just like openness to life.
Yeah, of course. Okay, let's get into a little bit more of like the faith conversation. We've, chatted about how you want a Catholic woman in your life and to have faith be a part of your relationship, your future marriage. How would you want faith to play a role in your relationship? Or like, what would you hope, how would you hope the relationship would look like given that you both are practicing Catholics? How do you bring that into the relationship?
Good question.
Great
Obviously,
question. Very
it changes as obviously, I don't know. I think one thing I see with like Catholics is sometimes you can jump in too quick, too fast.
Mm,
And I think like just getting to that spiritual depth, which is like a good desire. You're like, I love this. And again, this is just my perspective, but I think you definitely don't want to like rush it right away. Because it's very intimate. Like my relationship with Jesus and my relationship with the Lord is very intimate. So I'm still learning for sure, being that I'm single. But faith I would definitely want at like the center of it, and yeah, going to mass together, and definitely when we're dating, and I don't know, going to different Bible studies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Serving at the parish, whatever that looks like, and starting to incorporate just like whether that's praying liturgy of the hours together, like night prayer, or just like the rosary together.
Yeah.
And then I think like as you get deeper in your relationship, like engagement, that looks a lot different. Now you're like, okay, I'm committed to this person, so that's where it's like, okay, more like praying together, or where it's like you're really praying with each other, and praying together, and kind of, yeah, like just revealing more of yourself to,
Just like sharing more vulnerable things in your like prayers with each other.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And um and then marriage, obviously, that's where I don't know, I think I just have a lot, there's a lot of good married dudes around, and just hearing about the different things they do, like, yeah, praying together each night and each morning before bed. And I think that's something that I would definitely want to do. I think just keeping Jesus at the center, because I want my wife to like love Jesus more than she loves me.
Mm-hmm.
We're like who he works through a lot, but yeah, praying together as far as like our own spiritual life, and then in our marriage, hopefully just being able to like bless others through that, and invite others into our marriage, and like um yeah, have younger couples or like single people over and be able to just share our experience with them would be really
Yeah. Totally. What about you, Brock?
That's amazing answer, Anders. That's great. Um, I love first how you talked about the different stages, right? So obviously you want it to start internally, right? Between you and your girlfriend, your spouse, etc. You want it to start there, deep prayer life eventually there. But eventually you want that to turn external, I think, right? So ultimately someone that's got, a missionary heart at the end of the day, right? So whether that's being active in your parish, Bible studies, all these different things, and really understanding the mission of your marriage, right? I'm always so in awe of the people. I feel like I've been blessed with a lot of great marriages in my life where they've been such good examples. And the best marriages, in my opinion, are the ones that are bringing other people into their marriage or into their family. Right? Like I have
Mm.
some siblings, I have some good friends, and they're always just trying to invite people into it. Like, how can we invite Jesus into this person, into our family, into our home? And I think that's so beautiful. It's just a simple thing, but at the end of the day, like that's the mission at the end of the day. It's cool.
yeah, same. I mean, I just can't, it'd be hard to not talk about the Lord and help others know him. So
Yeah, totally. I feel like that was one of the things that that just grabbed my attention and like my heart the most when I met Trey, because I mean, the way we met was we started leading Bible studies together. We got connected because we both wanted to lead a Catholic Bible study and we had a mutual friend. And so a lot of our conversations in the beginning were just about faith. And for me, that was the first time that I felt like I had an intentional conversation about faith with a man. It wasn't even like we're talking about deep stuff, but it was like, wow, we can talk about like the gospel. We're also in a literal gospels class together, like a scripture class together. And so our homework was just to read scripture together. And even that was like that was so different for me, but so attractive to me because that's what I wanted in a future husband. And I didn't know that that existed. And so hearing you guys say that, I hope that that's super encouraging to women listening too and being like, wow, there are men out there that actually are practicing their faith and like want to bring this into a relationship. They want to like take their girlfriend to mass. They want to pray the rosary together. They want to pray with their wife every night before bed. Like they have a desire to keep faith at the center of the relationship. And what I want to point out here too is that like to actually make that happen in a relationship, both parties need to be like actively practicing and pursuing their faith in their own lives as single people. And like the only way that as a boyfriend, girlfriend, fiancés, spouse, eventually spouses, you're going to pray together, you're going to pursue, deeper knowledge, information about the faith. The only way that you guys are going to have a missionary heart and go out is if each of you is cultivating your own relationship with Jesus by yourself before you meet each other.
for sure. Yeah. And like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think like guys can grow in that too. And I think that's kind of that growth mindset. Like I'm a missionary, so it's super important to me. I've given a lot of my life to trying to do my best. I'm far from perfect, but I think too, just like also with those guys, just be like, okay, could I see this guy growing into that? And like that's
Yeah.
gonna be each situation is gonna be different. But I think I've just seen so many guys like that are faithful and trying, and they've grown so much from having like a holy Catholic woman, and they've like grown into that.
Totally.
Just like, and there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there, and I think the enemy just wants us to
Yeah.
settle for, oh, well, this guy's giving me attention or whatever. But I don't know. I think just praying every day and like the Lord will lead you. And like, yeah, the guy's not gonna be perfect. I'm not perfect. Brock's definitely not perfect.
No, definitely.
Yeah, Brock, definitely not.
Brock's definitely not. But it's like there are good men out there, and like, can they grow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the desire there? Can I talk about the opposite almost for a sec? Like for one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's important too, especially at our phase of dating. Like, I think sometimes too, people get almost too into that thought process too early on, right? Like, maybe we're on a first date and we're talking about theology of the body, or we're talking about stuff like we really don't need to be talking about that on the first date, right? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there needs to be a foundation of friendship, right? Because at the end of the day, the best way to love your spouse, or the best way to love in marriage, is to like genuinely love the person that you're married to. And all this virtue, all this faith in your relationship it has to stem from your friendship and generally enjoying the person you're around first, right? So it comes in phases, right? So ultimately the faith is going to be huge. It's a super important thing. And those are all good things, but I think there's also a progression that needs to be had too, where, I think people get too caught up in not like, okay, am I just like friends with this person? Like, do I actually just want to be with this person first? Is important.
Yes. Totally. Yeah.
Bar right there.
Mic drop right there.
Like faith is super important. The most
Absolutely.
important. But yeah,
but if there's no spark.
Can I have fun? Yeah, is that spark there? Like, can I have fun?
Yeah.
Do we enjoy similar?
Totally.
And that is I think super true.
Yes. And thank you for bringing that up, Brock. I think that is so important. And I actually did get a few messages last year. I shared a reel talking about how, like, I think that you should be best friends with your spouse, because I saw a reel on Instagram when I was scrolling that said, like, I'm not best friends with my spouse, and that's okay. And I was like, that's sad. Actually, I don't think that's okay. I actually think you should be best friends with your spouse. So I posted about something, and I actually had a few women DM me and say, like, wait, this is an interesting perspective. Like, the man that I'm with, that I'm dating, is like a really amazing man, but like, I don't consider him my best friend. And like, I don't know if like he would ever be my best friend. And I was like, okay, maybe we should talk about that. And actually, at least one of them, if not both of them, ended up breaking up with that guy. They messaged me later. So I feel like this is something that maybe, yeah, in the Catholic world, when people get so serious about dating a Catholic person, which we have established is so important and so good if you want to have a Catholic family and raise a Catholic family. But at the same time, like, all of the different factors matter in dating. And just because this man is super devout to his faith, if there is not that friendship or that attraction or that spark or that excitement, like, that stuff's important too. And you're going to need that. You're going to need that friendship to like carry you through your marriage, essentially. So good point to bring up.
Come on, Brock.
Come on, Brock.
That's why you're here, Brock. That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
Okay, guys, tell me, this one I feel like is probably controversial to the secular world, but tell me, how do you feel about traditional gender roles in a relationship?
Oh, juicy. What do you mean by traditional gender roles? I guess. Yeah,
Okay, like basically traditional gender roles include like women
like she's in the
primarily being at home, right?
Yeah.
Being staying at home moms, taking care of the kids, worrying about cooking and cleaning, whereas like the traditional gender role for the man would be like he works full time and takes out the trash. I don't know. I just think that's the guy
Aaron's
thing.
really good at taking the trash. Ladies.
I don't touch the trash.
That's what you're looking for. I can do that.
All right. I have an answer for this.
Okay.
First thing that comes to mind is This is a whole subject, right, in itself. But we used to talk about this a lot. Anders, like in our Bible studies with our fraternity and our Bible study, etc. How important the faith of the father is, right? So there's some statistic out there that says, um, assuming the father is the one that's kind of leading the faith, like he's the one that's into his faith, maybe a little bit more compared to the mother. Statistically, the children are more likely to also be in their faith into adulthood. I don't
Mm.
know the exact number on that. I don't want to plagiarize. I don't want to give the wrong number there. Uh, but it just says something about the importance of the father being in his faith, right? And I think men and women are both different, but they're both important, right? So we talk about that, and you talk about the father, right? The importance of his faith. That doesn't disclude the mother and the importance of the mother as well. I love the quote by Bishop Fulton Sheen. He talks about how the extent of like the level of any civilization per se is how great the extent of like the womanhood of that civilization is. And
Wow.
because men, we are going to go out of our way to match women. So if women are going to call us to this standard, we are going to go then match that standard, right? So if the father is important, his faith is important, right? It's like, well, the woman is going to call us to be in our faith at the end of the day. So the
Mm,
woman just as full role as the man does. Different, but very important.
Okay,
that was so fire.
come on.
I love that. And I remember first time I heard that, it just resonated so true with just my experience and what I saw in my friends and even as a missionary and the girls that I worked with, that like men have this desire to be good and women help set that bar to call them to a standard, and they're like actually willing to meet that. You know, they're willing to work to get to that standard. So that's so good.
Yeah, good job, Brock. I mean, I definitely want to work. If she's like a doctor, I could do it. But yeah, I don't have too many thoughts. I think it depends on the woman and like what she desires. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to provide for my wife to be able to stay at home with the kids if that's what she wants.
Yeah.
Um, so, and yeah, I mean, taking out the trash, mowing the lawn, stuff like that, taking care of the house. I think it's like important. There's goodness in that. And, but I'm not like, oh, like she has to stay at home. Like she can't work.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like to provide so she could do that. But also if she wants to work and she's like, that's what I really want to do. Like, great. Like we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. I think that's really probably just like a relief for a lot of women to hear, because I think the more you get into just like a very practicing Catholic world, the more and more you see kind of like those extremist ends of the faith that we can get into. And I personally experience this a lot on Instagram, where some people are super like gung ho about like women should not work, women should only be home, like that is how God intended it to be. And if you work, like you're being selfish and all this stuff. But and so I think a lot of women might expect like, wow, like a really practicing like a man with traditional values, a practicing Catholic, like might just want that for me. But I think there is, like you said, there is a lot of value in women working if they feel like God is calling them to that. And obviously the primary vocation should be your marriage and the family. And so making sure that your work as a wife and a mother isn't taking away from the way that you're able to care for your children and your husband. But yeah, if the Lord has placed it on your heart to work full time or part time and you're able to make it work with your family, I think that that's totally honorable as well.
Yeah. And I'd want to like, I don't know if obviously if somebody you care about has a dream and that you love, like has a dream, you want to help make that happen.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
my sister works, she's married, she's Catholic too. Me and my older sister Catholic, rest of the family not. It's another story.
Not yet.
I love my family. But yeah, she works, but I think she's like now she has 4 kids. So she's kind of geared up. Like I think she's like, yeah, it'd be nice to stay at home. But she also has a side hustle where she makes earrings and she sells them, and she has like Etsy shops, which I should plug, but I don't know it. Style by Kirsten. Check out Style by Kirsten. I think that's what it's called. She's beautiful. She is, yeah, she's amazing. But I think like that, like if my wife wants to do something like that, like I want to help you make that happen.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just hop real quick. I completely agree with I think the male mindset that most guys have is, I want to at least provide the option for my wife to have that option for herself, right? Like, if she wants to stay home, that's awesome. Like, that's amazing. Stay at home mom, like, that's the most important job ever. But then also, if she has other ambitions. Like, as a man, you just want to at least be able to provide that option for whatever the case may be.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I wanna ask, just in general, like, what would your advice be to women looking for a good Catholic man to date? Like, what is on your heart that you just really want them to know?
I have something here. Anders, you gonna go first, or you want me to go first?
You got it. You
Take
got
it
it.
away.
This is actually from a book that is about discerning the seminary, believe it or not. It's To Save a Thousand Souls. And the quote is that God won't move a parked car, right? So this is just good for anyone in any discernment stage, right? You got to go out there. You got to go move the car. God will ultimately guide that car in a specific direction, but you got to go put the pedal in, like, and drive, right? You got to move the car,
Mhm.
right? Uh, I think this is something that maybe I've seen a little bit is, a lot of potentially, some women, it's like, don't necessarily expect some Saint Joseph guy to just fall from the sky magically and ask you on a date, right? Like, go out there, put yourself in social situations, continue to pray for your future spouse, but go out there and if there's a guy you like, go stand next to him, smile at him, nudge him, like give him a hint. I think guys want to ask girls on dates, but there's this whole fear of, maybe being creepy or being rejected. That's a
Yeah.
whole different subject, but go put yourself out there and just, at the end of the day, the woman, like the guy ultimately asks the girl out on a date, but a lot of times the woman leads the charge, right?
She
Like,
gives a green
the woman is,
light.
um, yeah, she gives
Yeah.
the green light. The asks,
And we're
like,
kind of dumb too. So,
yes.
like, I was going to say that too. You kind of got to, I mean, for themselves, I don't know, just to build off Brock, but yeah, like obviously be living like what God is calling you to do. And I think have a passion about that, not just be like, oh, all I want is a man. All I want is a man. Um, that's a really good desire, but kind of what I was talking about before. If like that's all it's about, I've I don't know. Um, but yeah, at the same time, you gotta like if there's a guy you're interested in, you kind of gotta let him know. And a lot of times you're like, I am, and you might be like, well, Pete, actually don't get that.
He actually
So
not
I don't know. It's like
oh,
yeah, it's called like dropping. I don't know, like dropping handkerchiefs, but just
mm,
give the guy some hints that you're interested. I think would give him confidence.
yeah.
And yeah, it probably takes a lot of courage. You're like, I could get rejected or it could be humiliating. And I think at the end of the day, like when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to care.
Mm.
So
So what
yeah,
I'm hearing is, ladies, we need to start carrying handkerchiefs.
yes, exactly. That would actually make it a lot clearer for me.
Mm.
Then you drop it and I pick it up and like, okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
That
But yeah, just expressing in some way like that you're interested in him and like going just little bit farther than you think probably would help him get it more.
okay. So like what I'm hearing actually is like, don't be afraid to be flirty. If you are actually interested in that man, like give the hints that you are interested, show that you're interested. And honestly, it takes courage on both sides. I think that what we're saying here in this conversation is like, woman's got to give a green light, and that takes courage on the woman's part to put herself out there and be like, all right, like, I'm gonna like give him a tap on the shoulder, like I'm gonna give him eyes, like I'm gonna like be cute and flirty. And then also it takes courage on the man to like take those cues and actually be like, hey, can I take you on a date? And so it really is taking courage from both sides to maybe step out of your comfort zone a little bit, maybe put yourself out there. You both are kind of putting yourself in a position to be rejected, but by putting yourself out there, you also are allowing yourself to maybe find the one, have a great opportunity to start a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's excuse for guys either to not, like, let's go ask, you got to go ask the girl out on a date too. But I feel like from the girl, it's a little bit more of you come from a more of a safe spot. Like, what do you have to lose just going and talking to a guy and you being just a little flirty? Like, you got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah. And I think last thing on that, I have other thoughts too, but especially as you get older too. I think like I know it's a really hard thing when women are older and they're single because it's in some ways it's not in their control.
Right.
Like I'm a man, I can go ask you out,
Right.
and it's harder. It's harder for a woman. So I think yeah, there's definitely for older women. I mean, I think it can be more intimidating for guys, even like especially younger guys. Or if they're like a couple years younger than them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I think for women is, um, I don't know. I think don't settle. Like he's not going to be perfect, but there are good men out there. And are you putting yourself in spots where you can?
Hmm.
That's big. I think. Like, are you putting yourself in spots where you can meet a godly Catholic man who's trying
Yeah.
at least, like not perfect, but he's trying.
Yeah.
And Jesus is it's scary. And like, I didn't think I'd be 20. I thought I'd be married by now. Like I thought I'd be married with a few kids. This is what I thought like the Lord's plan for me was. And just comes back to just like Jesus is so good and just really trusting in him in those hard times and like just keep living your daily life. Yeah. And everybody's story is different. Like it's so easy to compare. But I've seen like so many different people break up, they get back together, just everybody, it's so easy to be like, oh, well, my story doesn't look like theirs, but everybody's story is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like both my siblings got married when they were in their early 20s. Like my two siblings that are married, and that's not my story. I'm like, that's okay, Jesus, because I don't, someone Mari said, I don't trust the player that trusts you.
Mm.
How do you?
That's great. And
That was a bar, Mari.
yeah. Yeah. There's always an approach of sensitivity to it, right? Everyone's story is different. And yeah, you have to approach it different. Sometimes it's easy to say like, we'll go out there and do it. It's that easy. But a lot of us know this firsthand. It's like, it's not always as easy as it looks either.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability, both of you, because I mean, dating is like a fun, exciting topic to talk about, but you're right. I mean, like when you're really in the thick of it, you're like, no, I'm like genuinely trying to like enter into my vocation of marriage that God may be calling me to. And when it's taking longer than you expected and your life looks different than you expected, it's super hard. It's super, super hard. And I know many women, friends of mine that are amazing women and, men that are amazing men that are like looking for their future spouse. And this season of waiting can be so isolating and confusing and just really hard to be patient, to continue trusting the Lord and his plan. So thank you for your vulnerability and thank you for just showing up and just giving it your all.
Yeah, I hope I didn't totally blow it. No.
No,
I was around enough women to know like all women are different. So that's why I was like, I have my thoughts, but other guys are going to think differently, and that's good.
yeah, totally. Totally. All right. Well, usually I ask my interviewers like, where can people find more about you? But we're not gonna have y'all put your phone number out here. And although I'm sure I'm gonna get so many questions about like, oh, where do I talk to Anders? How do I find Brock? So ladies, you're just gonna have to do your own Instagram stalking and slide into their DMs if you wanna chat it up.
I don't know this.
One thing we need to talk about, did we mention Anders' height at all? So Anders is 6'4", by the way, and really big bench press. Like what was it, 475, 485? Can't remember. Just by the way.
By the way, in case anybody's wondering, and how tall are you, Brock?
5. Brock is what? Sorry, what?
5'2".
You're not 5'2". I'm 5'2".
I'm actually only 6 foot. And I know on Instagram, you can find me. My focus. If you want to join my sport team, come on mission with me.
There you go.
Always looking for, always more Bibles to buy, guys here.
Always. Well, what Anders really means by wanting a girl to be on mission with him is really, please join my support team.
Yeah. That's part. Well, yeah, Mari, I'm proud of you. I just remember you coming here, young Mari, 22, and it was just so fun. And you're like my little sister, so it was just encouraging to just get to be on this and share. So
yeah,
I just want to Trey, I'm proud of you too. And Joseph behind the scenes, all this.
Yeah, nothing happens without Trey. He's the big man behind the scenes. But all right, thank you guys. Such a good episode today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mari.
Thank you so much for listening in. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and on social media. And give me a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. That helps me and the show out so much. Also, make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at EverBePodcast. And if you want more content like this and you don't already follow me, you can also follow me on Instagram at mari.c.wagner. And may his praise ever be on our lips. God bless.